to my channel. My name is Sarah, if you're new here, and today we are going to be doing my August TBR. In full transparency, I have not talked to this camera in weeks. Life has just been lifing. So we are going to do my August TBR together today. I may have accidentally acquired too many new books. So yeah, let's get this started. Okay, so I did my first TBR last month for July, and I decided to split my TBR up into categories. Those categories are books that I have recently purchased, library books that I have checked out. What else? Oh, books from my backlog. So books that I've had for years that I have not read, I will choose with a spinner wheel, and then I will try to choose something from NetGalley and my Kindle. I will say that between books that I have recently purchased and library books I have checked out, I have a lot of books already that have to go onto my TBR. However, I will say that in July, I think I have managed to get in around 10 books. So I think I will still be able to add in some surprises. All right, so first we're going to start out with the books that I have acquired within the last month. So these are all the books that I ended up purchasing in July. And I have I have 5 books in this category. And I really tried not to do this, but it just somehow happened. It just somehow happened. So these 5 books, per my new rules for myself, are going to automatically be on my TBR for August. Last month I only had 2 purchases, I believe, that I had to read, and I read them both. So yay. The goal here is to not accumulate more books on my physical TBR that's there for a long time. So I want to go ahead and read what I am buying right away and then slowly chip away at some of the other things that I have. Yes, could I spend more time chipping away at what I already have? Absolutely, I could, and I probably should start doing that. And I think that was my plan. However, this happened, and this wasn't intentional. At least going into the month, this was not intentional. So I have mostly fantasy here. However, I do have a romance and a lit fic book. So yeah, these are going to be on my TBR. So first I have Finding Grace by Loretta Rothschild. I believe this is a debut novel. This was my pick for my book of the month subscription for July, and it is a lit fic. I don't know a ton about this book. All the reviews that I read advised not knowing anything because what's going on in this book is a big spoiler. So and I think it gets revealed very early on, and it's pretty, like, I don't know, shocking. I think I did come across a spoiler, like what the book is about, like very briefly by accident, but I don't know a lot about this book. All I know is it is about a woman who was married to her husband, and her husband is keeping some secrets. And that is such a poor description, but honestly, I don't know a ton about this book, and that's kind of my intention going into it. I don't read a ton of lit fic, so this is a different book to pick up for me to pick up for myself, but I'm excited about it. I've been doing this thing the past couple of weeks, and I think I might make a video about doing it, where I am reading 2 books at one time, and when I do this, I do 2 very different books, and I read 50 pages, then go to the other book for 50 pages, and just keep going back and forth. And I know it kind of sounds like not the best way to read, but it has been working wonders for me. Like, I've been reading more doing this, and I've been pairing like a fun, silly romance book with like a fantasy book, and I've been reading more, and it like really allows me to mood read a little bit more, but try to stay on top of like books I pick out. So I will probably pair this with like a fantasy or a romance book or something that's very different from it. And it's not very long. So that was a long little spiel about a book I don't know much about, but Finding Grace will be the first book on our August TBR. The second book that I picked up in July is Poison Study by Maria V. Snyder. I did haul this in my Spend a Weekend with Me vlog, if you watch that. And this is an older, like kind of classic romantasy that I have been wanting to pick up for a really long time, like 10 years, but I just decided to buy it. This came out originally in 2005, and in this book we follow a girl named Yelena who has been imprisoned for murder, and she is giving a deal that they will let her out of prison if she agrees to be the food taster for a commander. And they want her to taste his food just in case it's poisoned, i.e. Poison Study. So that's what I know about this book. I know that it is a part of a series, and again, it's not very long, and it is a book that I have been wanting to pick up for a really long time. So we'll be reading Poison Study 2 in August. Okay, the next book that I picked up is really not something that I expected to pick up in July or expected to buy. I don't read a ton of romance, and I definitely never saw myself being someone who would bridge into cowboy romance. However, I binged the entire Rebel Blue Ranch series in July, and I will talk about that more when and if I do a July wrap up. So got really into the Rebel Blue Ranch series by Lila Sage. I don't know, like, I know it's not like they're short, quick romances, and it's not like top tier, you know, stories and writing, but it was just like really comforting, and it changed my brain chemistry a little bit. So I decided to pick up Flawless by Elsie Silver to continue on with my new cowboy romance interests. So I will be reading this in August. I will say that I did not expect to ever pick up an Elsie Silver book. I just didn't think that it would be for me. But like I said, I got into some cowboy romances in July, and I want to continue getting into some more in August. So I'll be reading this. The next book I acquired in July was A Forbidden Alchemy by Stacey McGowan, and I actually have the Owlcrate special edition for this. I didn't even realize I was on their quarterly Romantasy subscription waitlist, and I got off of it in July. And I got this book in there, and it has some illustrations in it. Here's from the front, and here is the back. And here's the naked hardcover, and the sprayed edges, and there's also an alternative little dust jacket here. I have heard really good things about this book, and I'm really excited to read it. I almost read it in July, but I decided to pick up something else that I've had sitting on my shelves for a few months. Instead of picking up this, I decided to save this for August. This is a romantasy about these childhood friends who From what I know, they think that people are born with magical abilities, I think, but they find out that they're actually chosen by people, the government, or I could be getting this completely wrong, but that is kind of like the general overarching idea, I think. And they go to like the capital or like wherever, this big city when they're kids, and the FMC decides to stay there, and then the MMC goes back to their hometown, and they run into each other again. They're adults. That is, from my understanding, what this book is very vaguely about. And I am excited to read it in August and not let it sit on my shelf for 1,000 years. And the last book that I ended up buying in July was Terror at the Gates by Scarlett St. Clair. I have never read a book by her. And I just really like how like compact this book is. Like, it is very slim, and I really just appreciate this being like a tiny hardback. I know that this is like a feminist version of Lilith's story. It is a urban fantasy following our main character, Lilith, and she is a member of one of the like prominent families in this world, but she's kind of estranged from them, and she's a thief. And she ends up stealing something that gets her into some hot water, and there's a lot of religious commentary in this book, I believe, and a lot of like gender politics and stuff. But I have heard really good things about this book, like really good reviews. And I wasn't gonna buy it, but then I saw it at the store, and I just really loved how compact it was. And I know that sounds kind of silly, but it is very compact for being a hardback, and I just really like that. But also the Barnes & Noble edition of this is really nice. Like, you have this nice little like naked thing going on here, and the end pages are cool, and I really liked how there's like a larger little breakdown of the world here on the underside of the dust jacket, and I thought it looked really cool. And so I really ended up buying this because I've heard really good things about it. I was gonna buy it on Kindle though because it's way cheaper, but then I just really liked how the physical copy felt in my hands. And that sounds silly, but sometimes you just like how a book feels in your hands, and that's why I end up buying it. And this is a signed edition as well. So those are the 5 books that I ended up buying in July that I'm going to prioritize reading in August. So yeah, my goal for August is to buy less books so that I can put books that have been sitting on my shelves for a long time. More of those on my September TBR. So yeah, hopefully I'm better at that next or this month. My hair is falling down. Okay. Our next category are books that I have currently checked out from the library. In full transparency, I do have more than these 2 checked out, but I do not think that I am going to be reading the other ones I have checked out. I'm probably just going to return them. So the first book that I have checked out from my library is Courtroom Drama by Neely Tubati Alexander. I have never heard of this author, nor have I ever read anything by her, obviously. And I picked this up for my love of reality shows, especially Bravo shows, because the main character in this book ends up on a juror. She ends up being chosen to be a juror for this murder case that is being tried, and the person who's being tried for murder is an OG cast member of the hit reality show Authentic Moms of Malibu. Obviously a little nod to the Real Housewives franchise on Bravo. and the book is dedicated to her fellow Bravoholics. So I saw that and it made me giggle, and it is a romance too, I believe, and that is why I checked this book out. I thought it sounded like a fun, like little silly time, like an easy, light read to read next to like a fantasy book or something else. So I will be reading this in August. And the next book that I picked up is another lit fic book. So again, something different for me. And that is Favorite Daughter by Morgan Dick. And I picked this up off of our new books cart and thought that this sounded like a really messed up situation in this book, and I really wanted to read that really messed up situation. So in this book, we're following two half-sisters, Mickey and Arlo, and they do not know that the other one exists. Their father has recently died, and Arlo was the daughter that he was more involved in. She was the one that took care of him on his sickbed, and Mickey is the one that was abandoned when she was 7 years old and has had no relationship with her father. However, he decides to leave Arlo out of his will and leave his fortune to Mickey in his will, with the stipulation that she will go to these therapy sessions that he wants her to go to. Like, to get the money, she has to go to these therapy sessions. And the therapist is her half-sister Arlo. And they proceed to have these therapy sessions with Arlo being the therapist and Mickey being the patient, without knowing that they are half-sisters. That is the basic premise of this book. And I just thought it sounded super, like, not cool of their dad, but also I love good piping hot family tea, and I thought that this book would serve me that. So that's why I ended up checking this out. And I will hopefully be getting to this in August. So that currently leaves us with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 books on my TBR for August, which is a lot, but like I said, I got through 10 in July, and I've been getting through 10, and I do want to work on getting some books off of my TBR that have been on there for a really, really long time. It just took me a really long time to get my spinner wheel up, and I thought that I had lost it, but I didn't. So we're going to spend 2 books from this, and I'm hoping to read them. And full transparency, I've been saying that a lot, I only read half of one of the ones I ended up spinning last month, and I'm absolutely not reading one. I read the first couple of chapters and it's not going to be for me, so I'm gonna not read that, and I'll talk about that in another video if I make a wrap video. So we are going to spin this twice and see what we get. The Spell Shop. I think this one's actually behind me. Oh, this is The Spell Shop by Sarah Beth Durst. I think the companion, I don't think it's like quite a sequel, but I think the companion to this in this series just came out. And I actually started this last year. I got like 34 pages in, but I didn't read it. This is a cozy fantasy following our main character, Keela, who has to evacuate this library that she has worked at in the city. Her parents are dead, and she ends up going back to where her parents did live, and I think she ends up making some jams in this cottage with a talking plant. And it's just cute and cozy, and I will be reading this in August. I'm really excited that I got this, actually. And I'm also really excited that it was right behind me. I didn't have to go run into another room and get it. Okay, so let's do that again. Yay! Here it is, it's spinning. A very large expanse of sea. Okay. I think I know where this one is. And I'm gonna have to go get it. I believe this is historical fiction. Yeah. I will be back. Okay. Okay, I feel silly. I was thinking this was a Rita Sepetys book. I can't remember what her name is. I feel silly. But it is not. It is actually a book by Taria Mafi, who wrote Shatter Me and The Swipping Kingdom. This is her contemporary book that came out in, gosh, it came out a while ago, 2018. And in this book, we are following a girl named Sharon in 2002, shortly after the 9/11 attacks in New York City. And she is Muslim, just like the author is of the story. And it's following her and her experience after this as a Muslim American after those attacks. And yeah, I'm really interested in reading this. I've had this for a little while. I can't remember where I bought this, but I'm pretty sure I bought this somewhere like super discounted though, and I never read it. So we have this, and it's giving us some more variety in our TBR. TBR is very diverse in genres right now, and I'm kind of digging it. So those are the two books from my backlog that we will be reading: The Spell Shop and A Very Large Expanse of Sea. And that leaves us with, I do want to choose a book off of NetGalley. I do. So right now I have a cozy fantasy, a romantasy, another romantasy, and like an urban romantasy. So I have 4 fantasies. And then I have a YA contemporary, 2 romances, cowboy and a courtroom romance, and then 2 lit fic books. So what do I want? I'm gonna go into my NetGalley and we're gonna pick something there. I have a variety of things. And I do want to pick something that will, like I said, I've been reading 2 books at a time lately and I'm really into it. And I think I'm going to continue doing that. So I want to find, right now I have a pretty good split of like fantasy and other things. So I have a pretty good split of things that will mix. But I think I might need like another fantasy to be able to split all of these books up with, if that makes sense. So let's see, what do I have? Currently on my NetGalley, I have Daddy Issues by Kate Goldbeck, which is a romance. Violet Thistlethwaite is not a villain anymore, which I believe is like a cozy fantasy romance. A Grey Flowers, which is a YA fantasy. Lady Dragon, which is a YA sapphic fantasy. Girls Who Play Dead, which is a YA thriller mystery book. Conform, which is an adult dystopian romance. The Last Vampire, which is a YA Darcy from Pride and Prejudice story in a academy with vampires, from my understanding. And those are the ones that I have not read on. Oh, and then I have By the Horns by Ruby Dixon. Which is like a fun little romantasy. Heavy on the romance. I don't know what I want to read. Okay, so I'm not going to read any of the romances, like romance, so I'm not going to read Daddy Issues yet. I don't know. So my fantasy options are Violet Thistlethwaite is not a villain anymore. Lady Dragon, Gray Flowers, which I believe is like Tudor-esque. I think I'm gonna read this. Ooh, perfect for fans of enemies to lovers, royal rivalry. Say that 3 times fast. Arranged marriage, deadly games, dark royal core, reluctant ruler, and blood-stained family. So I think we're gonna go with, I don't know if you can see that, Gray Flowers by Autumn Krause. I think this is why the tagline is "Marry the prince, then kill him." Princess Madalena and her twin sister Inessa were born attached at the hand and separated right after. That's the only time the sisters ever held hands. The girls' personalities make their kingdom more than what it is, unrespectable and loathsome. Personalities have been shaped in the Sinet family's drive to make their kingdom more than what it is, unrespectable and loathsome, a damp place where deceit fills the palace walls like mold. Madalena is different from her family. She's considered the weak one and only finds peace in the garden, tending her magical flowers, which are pejoratively called gray flowers because they are ideal for torture and torment. Secretly, she dreams of escape and a new life. Then Inessa, who is betrothed to the heir of a wealthy kingdom, Prince Eric, gets trapped in Bide, a terrifying purgatory, and begs Madalena to set her free. Now, not only must Madalena take her sister's place as Eric's bride-to-be, but she also must finish Inessa's secret mission. Inessa wasn't just sent to marry the prince, but to kill him too and solidify a profitable pact with his traitorous uncle. On behalf of her family, Madalena will need to resist the infuriatingly clever prince, as well as her own heart if she is to free her sister and finish the job. This is a teen book, and it comes out September 2nd, 2025. So we will be adding this to our TBR. That gives us a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 books. Yay! So I'm gonna get my stack here, and I have 9 of them are physical. So yeah. Well, can I pick this up? I don't know if I can. Hi, there it is. It's gonna fall. It's gonna fall. Okay, this is where I end my video. Thanks for watching, and I'm going to try to do some reading vlogs with some of these books, so stay tuned. Peace out, Girl Scout.